Hello everybody and welcome back to the Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. Hope you all have had a fantastic couple days since the last time we have spoken to each other. And as you could probably tell by the title, the United States has advanced to the round of 16 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, coming off a 2-0 win against Bosnia. Goals from Valerian Balogun and Malik Tillman. We will talk about the Bosnia game. We'll preview the upcoming game against Belgium, as well as look at Belgium's route to this point, as well as some previous matchups the two teams have shared, especially at not recent World Cups, but World Cups of the past. But we'll talk about all of that and so much more. But first, let's go over the housekeeping items. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Obviously, again, trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Here's the numbers again. For those of you who are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. And also, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. But if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. Wait till the very end, and I'll remind you there. But if you still don't like the video, then let me know down in the comment section below, and I will try to be better next time. No promises, but I'll try my best to be better. But leave a comment down below on what your thoughts on the video were, what your thoughts about the United States run up to this point, Belgium, Bosnia, what you thought about Senegal, what you think about the game in general. Just let me know down in the comment section below. And also check out all the links down in the description. You got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also check out the podcast, at Apple Podcasts and Spotify, The Logan Blackman Show. And make sure to check out the blog posts at theloganblackmanshow.com. There's no FIFA World Cup blog posts on there, but you can check out some quarterback ranking blog posts that are on there. All of that will be linked down in the description below. But once again, the United States is coming off a 2-0 win against Bosnia, and this was a game, as we said in the preview, that's not going to be an easy game for the United States. I understand the United States is a top 20 team to win the world. Bosnia is a 60-something ranked team, but they were never going to roll over just because you're the big, bad United States. It's not like, oh my God, we're just little Bosnia. We're lucky to be here. We qualified for the World Cup on penalties. Oh my God, you guys are so great. Yes, the United States. They weren't going to do that. Everybody's goal in this tournament is to beat the United States. It doesn't matter what type of motivation they need. Everybody has their own sort of motivation for playing the United States. It's not like, again, the United States is some world superpower or anything on the soccer stage, but to beat the United States, to knock them out of their home World Cup is enough motivation for any of these teams. And Bosnia is a very physical team. They're a very big team. Like we talked about this in the preview, only 4 players on their roster are under 6 foot, and 9 players on their roster are 6'3" and above. And this is a game where Bosnia knew they weren't going to out-technical the United States. They weren't going to out-athletic the United States. They're going to have to make this game physical. They're going to have to make it tough. So they sat back with a back 5. The United States lined up with a front 2 of Pulisic and Balogun. And it kind of depends on how you want to look at it, because the United States, as we've talked about ad nauseum, as the broadcasters on all these games, how fluid the United States attack is. You can't really pin down an exact formation for starting the games. Like if you look at like Fox Sports, ESPN, Footmob, or wherever you're looking at they're getting your updates from, they're all going to have different formations for the United States. But in this game with the back 5, Pulisic was a little bit further forward, but still on that left side. You have Weston McKennie and Serginho Dest rotating on that right side as well. But it's just a very fluid system, and Bosnia knew they weren't going to be able to compete up with that athletically. Like, it was a very physical matchup, but again, that's what we expected. The United States goes up early in this game, 31st minute from Valerian Balogun. Psych, it was offsides. Balogun was offsides on the build-up, but you think that the United States is up, and then obviously you check the replay, barely offside, just smidge offside. But then a few minutes later, probably about 10 minutes later, Balogun gets his goal. You see very nice build-up. Bosnia clears it out. It goes to Tim Ream, takes a nice little pass to Tyler Adams, who does a first-time flick to Malik Tillman, who tries to play it in for Valerian Balogun, but it gets deflected by a Bosnian defender and into the path of Balogun, who cuts it on his left, slams on the brakes, takes on his left, five holes the goalkeeper to put the United States up 1-0 right before halftime. And the United States does come close again to scoring right before halftime. I think like the 52nd minute of the game, like right before halftime, Balogun has a chance. There's a header played in by Serginho Dest. Nice ball played over top by Tyler Adams. Serginho Dest heads it down, and Balogun's right there. A nice little tackle, nice little job by the Bosnian defender. I don't know why I keep saying Belgian and Bosnian, whatever. the Bosnian defender to push Balogun off the ball, to throw him off slightly, to send his shot off the crossbar and out for a goal kick. So it was a very physical first half for the United States to be up. And Balogun, respect to him, he hit the silencer celebration after the first goal, but after it was ruled offside, it's like, oh, well, there's that celebration gone. I mean, like most players would go like, okay, I gotta go on to the next celebration. But no, after he scores the official goal, he hits the silencer again. So it's like, hey, this was a good celebration. I'm hitting the silencer again. But Balogun has just been, like, prior to the first half ending, or after the first, just to to recap the first half in general, because there's obviously a lot of stuff that happened in the second half. But Balogun, up to that point, has been one of the United States' best players. And this is something interesting that you think about with how the United States has developed under Mauricio Pochettino and how they looked in previous iterations of the national team, where the striker is actually the one scoring the goals. You look at some of the national teams they've had in the past, it's the wingers, it's the Dempseys, the Donovans. I know Dempsey played a lot centrally towards the end of his United States career. Donovan played some centrally, but they were never named like out and out number 9 strikers. If anything, they were number 10s. They were sitting back a little bit, or they're playing on the wing. But this one, the striker is scoring the goals for the United States. Like, if you look back at the 2022 World Cup, no one was sitting back counting on Josh Sargent or Jesus Ferreira. Haji, right at that point, was the only striker who scored a goal in that tournament for the U.S. It was a fluky effort against the Netherlands. No one was looking at those guys going, okay, that's where the goals are coming from for the United States. Now, if it was against Trinidad and Tobago, then yes, you bet your ass that Jesus Ferreira is going to score a goal in that game. But against the likes of Iran, England, Wales, the Dutch, you're not going to see any goals from those strikers except for, again, Haji Wright. So having Folarin Balogun, a striker that you can look to and go, I can count on you for goals. And there were some moments throughout his early on, like not early on, but just the past year or so, where Balogun's performances against the top nations or the better nations or whatever, where the lights were the brightest, he wasn't necessarily playing the best. He was a lot of ebbs and flows in his plays, where there was some real conversations about whether he should be the starting striker for the United States or it should be Ricardo Pepi. There were a lot of conversations in that. And we saw Christian Pulisic plays a striker against the game against Portugal in that friendly a few months ago. Like, there were a lot of options for the United States at the striker position, but Balogun has nailed down his position there and has really been one of the best players for the United States at this tournament. So to see him leave the game with a red card in the 64th minute was an absolute shock to the system. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of people out there that go, oh, Logan, you're biased for saying this. I don't think it's a red card. Yes, if you look at the image, if you look at the still image of it, yes, it looks brutal. I mean, Balogun standing on the dude's ankle's all twisted back. Like, yes, the still image looks very, very bad. But there's not a challenge. And I'm not going to sit here and go like the intent wasn't there. The Balogun didn't intend to hurt him. The intent doesn't matter. That's never, I don't think there's a lot of players who have gotten sent off for red cards. I don't think they've ever had the intent to hurt somebody, but that's just how it is. Intent has zero relevance, in regards to a player getting sent off. Now, that dude that got a red card for Qatar against Canada, we snapped snapped his leg, Do you think he went in there with the idea that he's going to snap a dude's ankle? No, that's not how it works. It doesn't matter intent. But regarding that, there's no challenge. That's the whole point. There's no challenge in there. Where Balogun's jumping in the air, where is he going to land? Where's his foot going to go? Like, that's where he's just in the air. So he happens to land on his ankle. The intent's out of it. He's not tackling him. He's not looking down at it. He's jumping in the air and lands. And the dude just makes an absolute meal out of it. Yes, I'm sure it hurts. But to sit there and just scream like that, come on. Kone, I just talked about him a little bit ago. He didn't scream one bit. And the only thing that's keeping his foot on his leg is his sock. The amount of wailing it took on that play. Like, come on, man. And to go to VAR after that as well, when no card was given on the field anyways. Bart Clattenburg said it's not a red card. Thierry Henry said it's not a red card. Like, it's just not a red card. And to have Folarin Balogun now out of this upcoming match against Belgium is a massive blow. Like, yes, I want to sit back and say I have full faith in Ricardo Pepi and Haji Wright or whoever they throw up in that striker position or whatever formation they decide to use in this game. But to sit back and go, the United States a top 5 goal scorer in United States World Cup history is not going to be playing in arguably the biggest game the United States has played in since the 1930 World Cup when they lost 6-1 in the semifinal to Argentina. This is the biggest game, and you're not going to have arguably your best player of the tournament in this game for a play that wasn't a red card. But the lack of consistency in this call is ridiculous. And that's what's so annoying about it. I'm not going to sit here and go like drum up some conspiracy theory about it, but I am going to sit here and say we're not a real host nation because it's down in Mexico. That referee would never have drawn that red card. If this game was at the Azteca Stadium, that referee has never drawn a red card. I'm not sitting here bashing the Santa Clara crowd because I thought they were awesome in this game. The United States home crowds have been awesome this tournament. Just little funnies. Just some funnies in there, but it's just not a red card. Again, if you look at the still image of it, yes, it looks bad. I'll show it up again. It looks bad. Yes, I understand that. But where's his foot supposed to go? Where's it supposed to go? You tell me that, Brainiacs. You tell me about that. And it hurts more because they can't appeal it. And even if they could appeal it, I don't think the United States was winning that call anyways. So it doesn't really matter. It just sucked. to have that moment happen just out of nowhere. Like, you see it happen, and I did joke about it with my friends when I was watching. I was like, oh, Balogun's got to fake the injury a little bit. I'm cramping, because you got to make sure that you're also in pain. You can't just have one person in pain. You're just walking around. That's just guilt right there. You both got to be in pain here, but that's beside the point. But the rest of the second half, it's a physical game. And then now you're down to 10 men. You're in the 64th minute. You got your best player of the tournament, sent off. You're playing the last however many minutes plus added time with 10 men. And Bosnia are controlling the possession at this point. Like, if you look at the numbers from this game, like, Bosnia had more possession, they had more shots, but a lot of that came after that point, because the United States has 10 men. They're not going to just keep trying to attack, so they're going to get caught out. So they're not going to openly attack. But the United States still had some chances there. Like, Christian Pulisic scored a goal. You had really nice build-up between Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman, and Pulisic. Pulisic slots in the back of the net, but he's ruled offsides. He does the finger wag like, I'm not offsides. And he was offsides. And you can't finger wag like this if you're that far offsides. You can't really do that. I know they're going to sit there and go like, well, maybe the defender touched it. Yeah, a little bit offside. He wouldn't have known the defender touched it. He thought he was onside. He wasn't onside. But I like the fact that he put it in the back of the net. And then a few minutes after that, Sergiño Dest gets pulled back. He doesn't get pulled down, but he gets pulled back. And then it sets up a Malik Tillman free kick from just outside the box. And it honestly, I don't want to over-exaggerate or anything and go like too insane here, but that might be the best goal I've ever seen at a World Cup for the United States men's national team. Like, just the heart, the grit, the determination to get to that point, to have Malik Tillman step up with a wall of giants, put it an inch over the middle of the wall and past the goalkeeper in net, and the reaction, the feeling of that, knowing down to 10 men, you still fought to get a goal. It was just the greatest feeling you could have. To win that game 2-0, and obviously I'm spoiler alert, but Malik Tillman, I said this before the free kick, which is so fun. I know it doesn't, obviously I said this before the free kick, because obviously, but I said before the free kick, thank God that Malik Tillman is there to kick Christian Pulisic off of set pieces. And if you watch these videos for long enough, you go back to Gold Cups in the past, I've always been a hater of Christian Pulisic on set pieces. Great penalty taker. I think he's only missed one penalty his entire career or something like that, but he can't hit a free kick, and he sucks at corners. So I was so happy that Malik Tillman is there, and Andy Robinson either is better at these things than Christian Pulisic was, is, or ever will be. So to have Malik Tillman stand there and confidently place in the back of the net, it was euphoric. It was euphoric, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it's just one moment and one game, but that feeling that you had in that exact moment was just insane. And then that spot too, it's so hard to get it up and over the wall and then get enough dip on it to get it back under the bar. Like, it was just perfect. Technically perfect all the way around. And then the United States, they held off a little bit. Bosnia wasted all their subs at that point. Pochettino waits till the 87th minute, I think, to start bringing on subs, which I like, because that means you're bringing on the freshest players for those last few minutes of the game. And it was Pepe and Berhalter come onto the field, and Giovanni Reina eventually comes on as well. Bosnia had a few chances. Elias Begovic, he had a shot that went just wide of the bar, just wide of the post. Mamic, he had a couple shots from outside the box, which is what you would expect, because those are where most of his shots come from, or outside the box. But yeah, the United States, again, comes away with a 2-0 victory. It was a much earned victory for the United States, a hard-fought victory. And I've said this before in previous videos, where, like, in this World Cup cycle, that the United States, going in, the biggest mark on this team was heart, determination. Do you want to play for the national team? Is this an obligation? Are you being forced to do this? Or do you want to do this? In this World Cup, you see how all the players are reacting. They want this. They want it so bad. They're playing up a level that you saw at club level, but we never really saw it at international level. And now we're having conversations about this being the greatest United States men's national team of all time. Now, you've obviously got to talk about the 2002 World Cup with the Dos a Cero against Mexico in the round of 16. You got the 1930 World Cup where they won their group and they went to the semifinals. Now, that was a little bit different World Cup. Only the group winners made it to the knockout stage. There were only 4 groups, so you just automatically got put in the semifinal. But still, and they lost 6-1 to Argentina. But that's not the point. But this United States team is just different. It's a completely different vibe. You just said this a year ago, that the United States would be playing like this, that the feelings around Mauricio Pochettino would be like this. I think most people out there would have called you crazy. Most United States fans would have called you crazy. But now, as we sit here, Mauricio Pochettino has the most wins for United States men's national team manager of all time at a World Cup. Bruce Arena had 2 cracks at it, 2002 and 2006. He got 2 wins. And then Miller from the 1930 World Cup got 2 wins. Mauricio Pochettino's at 3. Now, there's obviously an extra round in there, round of 32, but still, to look at where the United States was back in 2022, to see where they are now, like they've scored 10 goals this tournament. 10. They scored 3 in 2022. 3 goals. 1 against Wales, 1 against Iran, and then 1 against the Dutch. That's all they did. They drew 0-0 against England. Though, look at this United States team. You can make a real argument that it is the greatest United States men's national team of all time. But let's see how they do against Belgium, who are coming into this game off an exciting, insane 3-2 win against Senegal. The United States played both these teams in 2026. So we're going to get a rematch regardless of what happened in this game. But Senegal goes up 2-0 early. Habib Diarra scoring in the 24th minute of this game. You have a cross-in from Sadio Mane. Ismaila Sarr somehow gets ahead to it, goes off the post, and Habib Diarra just taps it into an open net. And then Ismaila Sarr in the 51st minute, right after halftime, fantastic ball from Niakite over top. Ismaila Sarr chests it down, and he lets it bounce to him, and he just slams it past Thibaut Courtois in net. The ball from Niakite was inch perfect, and the control from Ismaila Sarr was inch perfect as well. And Ismaila Sarr has been fantastic for Senegal in this tournament. He was playing as that striker position, which is kind of what you look at, like you could possibly open up the door for the United States perspective of playing a Christian Pulisic at that position because of a false nine. So, that could disrupt Belgium's system, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But those 2 goals were just fantastic. And Belgium had their chance in this game. You had Luca Bacchio from outside the box, cuts it on his left, goes just outside the post. But the big thing that happened in this game, I kind of glossed over this, but after the goal from Ismaila Sarr, Rudy Garcia decides to take off both Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku. 56 minutes of the game. Arguably your 2 best players, you're now bringing off the pitch. So at that moment in time, you could hear the announcers talk about it. It was a head-scratching move to see 2 of your best players get subbed off down 2-0. You're chasing the game at this point. Why are you subbing off arguably your 2 best attacking outlets? Yes, you have Romelu Lukaku in there. You have Leandro Trossard in there. But if you think of the Belgian national team, most people, I would say, you would think of Lukaku. But De Bruyne and Doku are 2 of the first people you think of. So it was kind of a surprising move in there, but Belgium starts getting on the attack. And Diego Moreira comes into the game as a substitute for Doku, and he changed the game. And he's driving at the Senegalese defense the entire time. And he had a good season for Strasbourg. He's been highly touted for them since joining Chelsea. Obviously, been at Strasbourg, their feeder club for Chelsea. But he provided a big spark for them, and he's barely played a minute in this World Cup, but he played 59 minutes in this game. Was a very big part in their drive moving back. But you look a little bit further in this game. You go down to the 85th minute or whatever. Ball gets played in the box. It kind of bounces around. It falls to Thomas Meunier, and he plays it first time. And Romelu Lukaku, just an intellectual striker's finish with his weaker foot, blasts it near post past Diao and net. It's just a great finish. And then a little bit later, 89th minute, Leandro Trossard on that left side cuts it in, plays across into the box, and Yuri Tielemans is right there, the captain, to head it home to get Belgium the draw at the end of regulation. He beats Diao to the ball, who just misses the punch. Just an absolute fantastic header from Yuri Tielemans. And then in the 117th minute, I think it was, you get a foul in the box. Cease fouls Yuri Tielemans. They go to VAR, they rule it a penalty. And then you get in the 20 or 24th minute or whatever, and Yuri Tielemans, top corner, Diao dives the wrong way, placed the top corner, so even if he dove the right way, still not getting to it. Just an excellent penalty. Runs to the corner. Latest World Cup winner ever is this goal from Yuri Tielemans. And that drive from Belgium to bring it back into this game, to come away with a 3-2 win when everything was against you. Like, they were not looking at a point where, like, you're down 2-0, you bring off Doku and Kevin De Bruyne. That's a thing of, like, what the hell are they doing? No one's going to expect Belgium to come back without De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku on the field, but they did. And that's the heart that they have in there as well. So this is going to be a very fun game. And again, Belgium's route to the World Cup, to this point, wasn't the greatest. I don't think a lot of people would sit back and go, Belgium had looked good up to this point in the World Cup, but you get a 1-1 draw against Egypt. They were down after 20 minutes in that game. Their only goal in that game came from an own goal. You get a 0-0 draw against Iran, who get a goal, but it's ruled offsides. So you escape with that game. And Goy gets a red card late in the game, so you're down to 10 men in that one. But then you blitz New Zealand 5-1. Your first goal from a Belgian player the entire tournament came in the 20-something minute when Leandro Trossard scored in that game. But they weren't looking great up to that point. Yes, they won the group, and that's the main goal. The main goal is to win your group, and they got that. But they hadn't looked good up to that point. And Senegal is kind of the same thing, but in a much more difficult group with France and Norway, as we've talked about before. It was just a really fun game. Really, really fun game. You feel hard for Senegal because of the way it ended, but Belgium were the team that ended up winning the game. That's the team the United States will be facing. And this is a rematch of not just the 2014 World Cup, but the friendly back in March as well when Belgium won that game 5-2. So this is a big revenge game for the United States. Now, this is a revenge game for every United States team ever, barring the 1930 World Cup team who beat Belgium 3-0. I did not think we'd be talking about the 1930 World Cup team this much, but here we are. But they beat Belgium 3-0. They also beat Paraguay 3-0, which is a team they beat by 3 goals in that tournament as well. So maybe they beat Belgium by 3 goals in this one. But that game in 2014, the Tim Howard standing on his head the entire game, 16 saves. Just not enough going forward for the United States. Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku get goals. Julian Green scores a goal in that game. The Christian Pulisic playing for Bayern Munich gets a goal in the game. Chris Wondolowski's miss. Everybody knows that one, but it was such a gut punch, that game. But to get a chance to rectify the 2014 loss here is just a fantastic feeling. If you look at Belgium, I mean, you've still got players in and around this team that are key members of this team that were key members or just starting up their careers in 2014. Like Thibaut Courtois was in net against the United States. You had Axel Witsel, who has not played a minute in this World Cup, but he's in the squad. Then Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku. But apart from those guys, you still got Jeremy Doku, who I talked about before. You got Leandro Trossard. You've got some fullbacks that love to push forward. De Kuyper loves pushing forward. He has the most shots on target per 90 in the entire Belgian squad. Kevin De Bruyne has the most shots per 90 on this team. But De Kuyper, he had a beautiful right-footed effort in this game against Senegal that Diallo got a handle to. But then you got Timothy Castagne at right back, who can also play left back, so maybe we see Thomas Meunier in there. Their center backs are not that athletic. And as good as Castagne, Meunier, De Kuyper are going for, they're not the greatest athletes. So this is a game where the United States can potentially get after them, because if you look at what Senegal did well in this game, was getting after Belgium, was banking them going these 1v1 situations. That's where they got on top of them. If they're able to do that, then I can see the United States getting out on top. But if you look at more players in this Belgian team, like you obviously still got Yuri Tielemans, we talked about before. Luca Bacchio scored 2 goals against the United States. Charles de Ketelaere scored a penalty against the United States. Amadou Onana, he also scored against the U.S., but he hasn't really been playing in midfield next to Yuri Tielemans. So we'll see how they do with that situation in the midfield spot. He came on in like the 109th minute in this game against Senegal. But their center backs, again, Thiete and Michel at center back. Now, Ngoy could go back to the squad, but Michel, he's played the entirety of every game up to this point. Maybe one game he played like 87 minutes or something, but for the most part, he could have played all 90 minutes for every game regardless. I don't remember, but he's a dangerous threat from set pieces if he does end up starting this game. He is older, he's 33, but he scored 8 goals this past season for Club Brugge in the Belgian league. So he's definitely someone to look out for in regards to set pieces. But if you look around again at this squad for the United States versus Belgium, it's just going to be a very fun game. It's a very, very fun game. Belgium's got a lot of really talented players. They may not be the same players they were back in 2014 or 2018 or any of those other tournaments, but they're still dangerous. They're still very, very dangerous. And as for the United States as a starting lineup, then you just look at whatever formation you want to call it. I still call it a 3-4-2-1 formation. Whatever you want to call it, those fine with me. If you want to call it a 4-1-4-1, if you want to call it a 4-3-3, if you want to call it a 3-4-1, a 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, you can call it what you want because it's so fluid. You can play wherever. But Matt Freese will still be in net. And I didn't say this before, but this was Matt Freese, in my opinion, his best game for the United States, including the Gold Cup games. This game against Bosnia was his best game because he wasn't afraid to get off his line. That's been my biggest critique of Matt Freese since he's taken over as the number 1 or the number 24, but number 1 starter for the United States, is that he doesn't come off his line. He kind of just waits for everything to happen. You look at the game against Germany, you look at the game against Paraguay, the goal he allowed against Paraguay, just sitting on his line, not attacking anything. He actually went on and attacked things. I think that performance against Bosnia is definitely something to look out to build on for him for the rest of the tournament, should the United States go past this round. But then you obviously got Alex Freeman, Chris Richards, Tim Ream. Obviously, those guys are still going to start there. Jorginho Dest at right wing back. Then you get a little bit interesting in the midfield, because now we're talking about what the United States could do from a Balogun replacement. Because I would imagine, I could be wrong here, but I would imagine that the United States starts one of Sebastian Berhalter or Ricardo Pepi. Because if you start Sebastian Berhalter, you're pushing Malik Tillman further up, and you're playing Christian Pulisic as that false nine, which did not work against Portugal, and I don't think Christian Pulisic plays his best as a central player because he doesn't have the vision of that. He likes driving at defenders. He likes taking the ball, picking it up, and driving at the defender. You don't really do that. He doesn't really play that well with his back to goal. So I wouldn't do that. But I would think that would be the option should the United States do that. But for the midfield, I'm still going to have Tyler Adams and Malik Tillman there, so that should give you a little bit of hint of what we're going to do forward. But then Anthony Robinson at left wing back. Then you've obviously got Weston McKennie, and then Christian Pulisic on the left with Ricardo Pepi. I almost said Valerian Balogun. Ricardo Pepi as the central striker. He hasn't had a great tournament. Ricardo Pepi has not had a great tournament, but this is a game for him to silence the doubters, I guess you could say, because if you look at a game against Australia, he didn't play great. Turkey, I kind of forgot he was playing in that game. But this is a game for him to silence a lot of people. He had a great end of the season for PSV. And again, like I talked about before, there was a lot of conversations about him being the potential number 9, starting number 9 for the United States men's national team going into this World Cup. Balogun's obviously taking it and run with it. And he's not as athletic as Valerian Balogun. So I've seen some people talk about potentially Haji Wright. But I would feel weird starting Haji Wright in this game after playing, a grand total of 5 minutes in this World Cup. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but something like 5 minutes in this, that make me feel a little bit off doing that. But I do think overall the United States can win this game. I think they can. I think the United States, and I said this in my preview video, and I said this in my World Cup predictions that I did prior to the knockout stage, which you could go check those out on TikTok. But I said all of this to say that once again, for the third time, that I think the United States is going to beat Belgium. And I'm going to go with the reverse score of the game that happened in 2024 or 2014. The United States 2-1 victors in this game against Belgium. I'm going to give Ricardo Pepi a goal. I don't know when it's going to come, but I'm going to give Ricardo Pepi a goal, and I would love to see Christian Pulisic get a goal. And speaking on Christian Pulisic, I kind of alluded to this before in regards to, we have a striker that can actually score goals for the national team. Back then, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because Greg Berhalter and you see Bruce Arena and Bob Bradley, they do a podcast thing. I don't remember what network it's on, but they do a podcast or a panel or something. But Greg Berhalter talked about how he doesn't feel that they're not intending to get the ball to Pulisic. There's not enough intention to get the ball to Pulisic on those wide positions. The thing is with this team now versus the Greg Berhalter teams is that Greg Berhalter's team was so Pulisic-centric. That was his team. We are getting the ball to Pulisic no matter what, and we're going to live and die by what he does. This team right now has, I don't know a better way to put it, but has more killers on this team that we can turn to where we don't need to go to Christian Pulisic all the time. You can look to a Valerian Balogun. I know he's not going to play, but still, you got a Valerian Balogun, Weston McKennie, who I've argued is the best player on this team prior to this World Cup starting. Malik Tillman's maybe has been, with this, even before this goal against Bosnia, was one of the, if not the best player of the United States in this tournament. You've got players like that. Sergiño Dest driving down that right. Anthony Robinson driving down the left, who's been awesome in this World Cup too. The United States has so many players you can look to for something that they just didn't do before. They didn't turn to anybody else. This team does. This team is about the team rather than individuals. That's why it's so fluid. That's why PSG works so well. Because it's not about the individuals. Yes, Ousmane Dembele is the guy. Yes, you got Kavica Kvaratskhelia in there, who's also one of the guys. Doué. You've got all these great players for them, but it's the team. They rotate around. They do everything for the team. They run for the team. The United States, again, like I talked about in the last game, has covered more ground than any other team at this World Cup. They work off the ball. They work on the ball. This team is a team. And that's what I love about this World Cup so much, about this United States team in general, because it's not what I expected if you would have told me this a year ago, that this United States team would be looking like this, and I absolutely love it. I love it, and I think, again, the United States is going to come away with a 2-1 victory against Belgium, setting up a potential game against Portugal or Spain. That's going to be fun. Why not us? Why not us? And Tim Howard, don't sit there and say the United States has no chance to win the World Cup, but then also say Bosnia shouldn't even bother getting off the plane against the United States. You got to back the boys. This team has a chance to do something special. I'm here for it. They're wearing the navy blue, so we're not going to have any issues like we did in the first Belgian game this year, where they had that massive uniform conundrum. I don't even know what you want to call it, where it was just a freaking mess. Yeah, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And these guys, they're going to provide so much for the United States in the world of soccer for years to come. And it's awesome. So I'm here for it. Obviously, I think the United States again is going to win. It's just been fun. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. And let's hope we're having a preview against Spain or Portugal coming up next. But make sure, again, to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Here's the numbers. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. Leave a comment down below on why you feel the way you do, whether you loved it, hated it, whatever. Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts of the United States performance are, what you think they can do against Belgium or vice versa with Belgium. And check out all the links down in the description below. But with that, that's all I've got for you today. I don't think I have anything else for you. If I forgot something, let me know down in the comment section below. But I've been Logan Blackman, and I will see you guys later. Go USA. Peace.